Hello and welcome to the Human Instrument Mastery Podcast. I'm Shimrit Nativ, and I'm so excited to welcome you to today's episode. And we're going to talk about what I call the wall of separation. Let's dive right in. Everything is made out of the same formless substance, the one energy. Everything vibrates, everything is connected. There is no real separation between me and you, between anyone to anything, anywhere. These two hands seem separate from each other, but are connected to the one body and are part of it. The space between them seems empty, but we know that it is full of information. Everything is vibrating on different frequencies that are all like waves of the one ocean. There is no separation in the universe. However, we all have a sense of separation. And that perception of reality has started in a very early age of the development of your human instrument. Most people experience themselves as separate from others, from every other thing, and even from the one source. Call it God, call it universe, call it their own soul. You are a soul, and you have this marvelous human instrument through which the soul that you are, the life that you are, is expressed to and through and then experienced by you as the human being that you are. And in the early stages of the development of your human instrument, when this individuation of life that is your soul first materialized into this instrument that you have as a human being, in the first early stages of that process, the part of the instrument that is the conscious mind was not yet fully developed. There was an innate unconscious knowing of who you truly are as a soul, as spirit, as an individuation of the oneness. But this knowing was not conscious yet. In those first early years, during the programming process of the instrument, while the conscious mind was not yet fully developed, all the information and impressions from the physical environment which you were growing up in and the instrument was developing in, all that information was going straight into a subconscious level of the mind for many reasons. And in that information, there was probably no validation to that innate knowing that was still unconscious of the truth of who you are. Is a set of concepts, beliefs, nonverbal agreements, to which you had to adapt in order to survive in that physical environment. And so you have learned how to react in certain ways, behave in certain ways in order to receive certain reactions from the environment. Validation, confirmation, a sense of security, of safety, of love and care. When you were just born, you did not question your worthiness of all of those things. As a little baby, you cried when you were in pain or when you were bored or when you were hungry. But very quickly, you've learned unconsciously that you should behave in certain ways in order to get certain things, those things that you needed and wanted. And so a need to get those reactions from the environment was being developed on a very deep and unconscious level of the program of the instrument that is rootly related to survival, to the survival in that environment. And it had no alignment to that innate knowing that remained unconscious of who you truly are as a complete, worthy being, life itself, a divine being. And there was a development of an underlying belief of some separation between who you truly are and the instrument itself, the soul and the personality, the internal and the external. And it created like a wall that was separating these two levels of being. And if you remember on the previous episode, we were talking about the gates and the lessons. And an image that I have that I want to share with you is of a wall with many gates or doors in it. And all these gates and doors are like patterns that were created that all compose this subconscious program that in those early years was developed and is now controlling the instrument and setting a limit to how far it can take you. It has the complete potential to take you anywhere as far as your imagination can hold, which is infinite, but it is limited by a program it is operating on. And so all these doors are like patterns that were created in those early years through certain experiences, some very traumatic, some repeating and more normal. They were all created through experiences that are capturing a certain lesson for you. And you have the opportunity, like we've talked about in the second episode, to unlock the learning, to learn the lesson and open the gate. And the more and more gates that you open in your wall of separation, the more of the light of who you truly are can shine through. And the more you step into expansion, into richness, into more and more levels of who you truly are and who you're called to be. And so the wall of separation is something that you can break through one step at a time, one process at a time, one layer at a time, one lesson at a time, one gate at a time. And it is done through the reprogramming process. In those early years of your life, in this physical body, in this human instrument, the instrument has gone through a programming process where the conscious mind was not yet developed, and all that information was going straight into the subconscious level. Now, as we said, this happened this way for your survival. So you can learn how to eat, how to hold an object, how to walk, how to talk, how to process countless functions and immeasurable information that needed to be programmed right into the operating system of your instrument. But what was also being programmed right in there is all the patterns of thought, of beliefs, of concepts and perceptions that you've received from your environment. And since then, that is where the program is set. And that wall of separation is still erect, creating a sense of separation between you and who you truly are, between you and the oneness that all is part of. And so you have the opportunity to learn, and this is a big part of the skill and mastery of the human instrument, is to be able to go into the operating system and start shifting those patterns one by one, opening those gates one by one, and stepping into greater and greater versions of yourselves, shining more and more of that light of who you truly are onto the environment that you can now create and experience as a master of the human instrument. What I would love for you to take from this episode today is the knowing of who you truly are, the remembrance of it, and the understanding that you can break through, you can reprogram, you can expand, and you can do this one step at a time. A little exercise that you can do is to go back and recall an experience, whether it was a moment or whether it was something that was ongoing as part of the experience that you've had growing up, that created that sense of separation, that gave you a feeling that no one else is getting you, who you are, your truth, your light, that you maybe felt like you had to dim in order to adapt. And as you recall that experience, I would love for you to reconnect with that part of you knowing what you know today, and talk to that little self and let them know that they are seen, that they are enough, that they are worthy of all of their desires, that they are perfect just the way they are. And this is already one great step in the direction of breakthrough, in the direction of healing, into the direction of releasing that wisdom and opening that gate, one gate at a time in the wall of separation. And if you want to take this into a full process to really break through and go beyond, I would love for you to send me a message on Instagram, and I would love to send you a free training that will help you with that. You can also click directly the link in the notes of this episode and sign up to that workshop. It's called All the Way to the Top and Beyond. Please share this episode with anyone that you think can benefit from this information. Follow so you can be notified about our next episode, and I'll see you next time.